Hey y'all, this is Bewindi Bob just stopping by to share some amazing news with you. If you've been listening to the podcast, then you may already know, but let me just let you know this today. I am now a published author. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Lord. I'm so thankful, so excited to share these resources with you. My first release is the book entitled Empowerment for You, Encouragement for Your Emotional and Spiritual Wellness. Listen, this book is filled with information, insight, inspiration, and specific tips and practical strategies for your emotional and spiritual wellness journey. If you have not gotten this book, I encourage you to purchase one for you. Purchase also, give one as a gift to another sister of yours or to someone else. It is available on Amazon, and I definitely want to hear how this book is blessing your life and adding value to you. My second release, most recent release as of November 2021, is a workbook. Oh my gosh, y'all. It is called the Empowered to Empower You Reflection Workbook. I'm so excited about this workbook. And I know that for those of you who enjoy engaging in self-awareness activities and you love engaging in journaling and reflection, you will enjoy this workbook. It's actually based on the podcast specific episodes where I had dynamic guests. So this workbook is for you too. Both of those resources are available on Amazon. If you have any questions, you let me know and I will be able to answer them for you. Also, will you do me a favor? If any of the episodes has added value to your life, has transformed some things for you, or have just provided you encouragement, will you provide a rating and a review of the podcast or send me a message? I would love to hear from you. I want to hear how the podcast is really enriching your life, and I want to hear how things have changed for you, or you maybe how a specific episode has encouraged you. So I would love to hear from you. Send me a message, complete a rating or review. If you don't know how to do that, just send me a message. Let me know. You can do that by emailing me at bewindi.bob@outlook.com or info@bewindi.com. You can also send me a message on empowered, the number 2 serve on IG. I look forward to hearing from you, and I want you to enjoy the rest of the show. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Empowered to Empower You podcast. This is your lovely host, Miss Bewindi Bob. I'm so excited and honored that you decided to tune in to the podcast. Listen, I hope that you are well, and I hope that you are feeling safe wherever you're calling from. Not calling from. Now I'm acting like I'm on a radio show, right? But you never know. That may be coming next. Who knows? But wherever you're tuning from, you are so welcome. I hope that you are doing well. Those of you who've been rocking with me since January 2020, thank you for your continued support. If you've been sharing the episodes or just subscribing to it, thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast, because this helps other people to find it. If this is your first time, you are in for a lovely treat. I want to remind you that Empower to Empower You podcast is about all things Jesus Christ, mental health, wellness, anything to help you become the better version of yourself. You're going to find that each episode is packed with insight, encouragement, and tools to empower you. But let me just tell you one thing. I sometimes forget to say this, but this podcast is not to substitute therapy or your relationship with Christ, but it's a great complement. So if you need a therapist, with anything that you hear on the episodes, hey, do seek therapy. Okay, do seek therapy. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I want to welcome you to episode number 104. Previously recorded was 103, which was empowering students and young adults with Dr. Carrie Lyles. I had an amazing conversation with Dr. Carol. You're going to hear, I'm sure you heard her passion during that conversation. If you have not listened to it, please go and check it out and come on back. Today, episode 104. We're going to talk about the subject today is Dine Well. That's Dine. Dine Well, the story and the strategy of living a healthy life with Mrs. Dell Self. Oh my gosh, y'all. You are in for an amazing treat. Did I just say that? Yep, I'm repeating it intentionally. Dell Self is a faith-based professional communicator, trained and certified as a public speaker coach, Christian life coach, and faith-based vision board specialist. She is also a self-publishing specialist with 20 plus publications to her credit. She utilizes all of these experiences as she shares her testimony titled Dine Well. Dell's testimony focuses on how she created a lifestyle that led to a healthier body, a mind, and spirit. Today, you will learn the 3 key concepts that allowed Dell to lose 80 pounds and keep it off and turn her entire life around. I want to welcome Mrs. Dell Self to this podcast. Hello, Miss Dell.
Hey, Bewindi, I am so thrilled to be here. First of all, I have to tell you thank you because there are a lot of people that you could have invited, but you chose me. So I'm honored. I am thrilled. And you have 104 episodes?
104.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
That is so cool. Oh my goodness. That is so cool.
Yes. One thing I want to add that I didn't get to say that people, I need to let the cat out of the hat. The cat out of the hat, is that how you say it? The cat out of
the bag.
Out of the bag. See, I'm from the islands, so I just say things that hopefully this added some humor to your day. But Miss Dell is my publisher for the books that were published last year, October and November 2021. She has become such an amazing mentor and friend and just all of the above. I love her. She contributes so much. She adds so much value to my life. So I just want to publicly acknowledge her. She is anointed and talented to do what she does, for sure.
Wow. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Wow. Yes, ma'am. So let's get into the topic. Dine
okay.
Well. Why the name? Tell us about the name Dine Well and why and how you came up with that name.
Okay. Well, Dine Well actually morphed from a number of things that had happened. And the initial Dine Well came from an atheist. A devout atheist. And it was a quote that she had, and I don't even remember what the quote was at this point, but I just remember her saying throughout, dine well. I'm like, dine well. So God started speaking to me about all these different things that I could be talking about regarding dine well. But what really started moving me towards Dine Well as it is now is it's not just about food. It has so much to do with whatever we take into not just our bodies, but what we take into our minds, what we're thinking about. We're dining, you're taking in this information. So whether you're taking the information in from the Word of God, or you're taking it from, the nourishing Word of God, or you're taking in information from social media or the news or people that you're taking in information, you're taking in, different types of experiences, whether it's from church or wherever it is, you're dining on something all the time. So my thinking is, if you're going to be dining on something, you might as well dine well.
I love that because we are always taking in content. And
absolutely.
Wow. So it's important for us to be aware of that. So tell us more about your why. Of course, we're talking about your story, your testimony about your weight loss and just the transformative pieces with that. So what was the why behind your decision to have a healthy lifestyle?
It's not so much my why behind my having that healthy lifestyle. I actually kind of fell into it. How do you fall into a healthy lifestyle? Ask me. I know how. I do it all the time. I fall into all kinds of things. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I wasn't trying to have this healthy lifestyle. I mean, I really wasn't. And I do want to get into that more as I talk about the three concepts and the things that happened along with that. But my why now is I see so many women, I mean, and men as well. But I think, I mean, my heart goes out to so many women who feel as though once they get to be 40, 50, and certainly by 60, that it's almost a rite of passage. I'm supposed to be diabetic. I'm supposed to be overweight. I mean, of course, I'm going to have high blood pressure. Of course, I'm going to have high cholesterol because I'm 50 years old. I'm 60 years old. Like, no, you don't have to have it. I mean, maybe you will and maybe you won't, but you don't have to. And I think there are so many people who just kind of roll over and say, okay, well, when you get older, this is what happens. And I've heard that so many times. Well, when you get older, this is what happens. It doesn't have to. So in our younger years, if we start dining on the right things, and just doing those things that are necessary for our bodies to be able to flourish, then when we get to be 40, 50, 60, 70, we're going to be reaping the benefits of what we did in our younger years. And, and even if you're listening to this broadcast and you're already 50, okay, that's when I started my healthy lifestyle. I was in my late 50s when I started. So it's not even an age thing in terms of when you can start. Just start like right now. You're listening to the broadcast, start right now. Yeah. But yeah, that is my why. I mean, just having this heart for seeing so many people who are struggling with things that they just don't have to be struggling with. They really don't. And I think about that scripture in Hosea that talks about my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And I just believe with all my heart that there are so many of us that are being destroyed because of our lack of knowledge regarding our health. We are destroying our bodies and we have no idea that we are. Yeah. So that's just my heart. That's my passion now.
Yeah, that's so true. It's such a relevant topic because I've heard people say, I'm supposed to have this, or I'm getting older, or they use age to justify things that are going on in their bodies and not even thinking about, wait a second, you have choice. These things,
there you go.
These things are be your story, your portion. So when I know you want to get into, I know you're about to get into the concepts behind this, but when did that passion start for you?
Oh goodness, I would say probably a couple of years or so after I had actually lost the weight. So yeah, probably about 3-4 years ago, something like. Okay, my math is terrible, so I know it's longer than that. Cool. But a few years after I had lost the weight, I'll put it that way, and I began to see how it had impacted my body, and I thought, oh my goodness, all of this stuff that I was dealing with, it's gone, and the same way it just disappeared for me, it can work for other people as well. So it's not like it's this fad diet or anything like that. But I'm going to save it till I get to that point.
Look, I can't wait. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Talk about
okay, yeah, because I'm chomping at the bit. Like
I know. Yeah, so let's talk about the three concepts of how you created a healthy lifestyle.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to give you a little bit of that backstory as quickly as possible and then really just kind of dive into that. So it was back in the end of 2015 that I went to this lady's house, and she had all of this food. I mean, just a mountain of food and all of these desserts and whatnot. And I loved sugar. I mean, I had this sugar addiction that just wouldn't quit. Now, in my mind back then, I didn't realize that it was a sugar addiction. It was an addiction now. I just thought I just really liked sugar. And she gave us these to-go boxes so we could just bring home what we wanted. And normal people would bring home a to-go box, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit, no, not Dell. No, 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 no. I had 3 of the jumbo size to go boxes and I just loaded them up. I mean, I crammed them with all of the desserts I could find. I mean, some of the stuff I didn't even know what it was, but I knew it had sugar in it. So I put it in the box and just kind of crammed it in there. Like, I don't care. It's sugar.
Right.
And then, the next day I figure I'm going to get up nice and early and I'm going to have all of this for breakfast. Yep. I'm going to wipe all of it out for breakfast. And if I didn't finish for breakfast, I would eat throughout the day. It just didn't matter to me, because the whole idea of trying to get healthy, like, why would I do that? I mean, I'm fine right where I am. So when I got up and I'm ready to eat, I took my fork and I started to dive in. And I heard God say, don't eat that. I'm like, what? No, 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 no. It must be my imagination. So I bring my fork a little bit closer to my mouth again, and I hear it again. Don't eat that. And like, don't eat that. Now, I was stumped as to why. Why would God be saying this? Why would he be telling me don't eat that? Even though at that time I wasn't diabetic, but I was borderline diabetic, borderline high blood pressure, borderline high cholesterol, pick a something. I was borderline. And yet my thinking was, why would I need to not eat all of these boxes of sugar? So I go ahead and bring that fork to my mouth a little bit closer. And that third time, I heard it clear as day. Don't eat that. And then instantly I thought, like, oh my goodness, I don't want this. Like, this is disgusting. I mean, God just took that out of my mouth instantly. And I just didn't want it anymore. I absolutely did not want it anymore. And what he began to teach me was a verse that's in, I think it's either, I can't remember if it's First or Second Timothy, but it's in there somewhere, that it talks about eating what God made. And that is actually the first thing that he taught me. Eat what God made. Instead of all of this other stuff, eat what God made. Now, so I'm going to say something. I don't want to shock anyone. If you're seated, hold on to your chair. If you're standing, hold on to the wall or something, or you probably need to sit down. But God did not make jelly donuts. He did not. He didn't do any of that. So, and it's funny because it usually takes people a minute, like, what? Oh, wait a minute. He didn't make jelly donuts. What? I'm like, no, he didn't. Trust me, he didn't. But even though he made the ingredients, some of the ingredients, like he made the wheat, he made the cane sugar, not sugar. I mean, excuse me, he made the sugar cane, which is a plant.
Right.
That's fine. Eat that. It's got nutrients in it and whatnot. But the cane sugar, which is totally different that you find in the grocery store, don't do it. Don't do it. Right. Because everything that even looks like it might be a nutrient has been stripped from it. It's bleached, stripped. Don't do it. So that was the first thing that he taught me, was eat what God made. And I was really the queen of processed food. If it's processed, pre-cooked, pre-chopped, pre-seasoned, pre, I'm buying it. I don't care how much it costs. I'm buying it because I was just into this processed food thing. I mean, canned fruit, canned veggies, like, what? Why would I eat fresh fruit? I mean, it just didn't occur to me. So that was my thinking back then. And I'm going to read this quote. It's from, let's see, University of California. And it's an excerpt from an article. And it's talking about sugar. It said that it's not a habit. It's an addiction. And anybody who says, I have this horrible sweet tooth, that's a sugar addiction. So sugar is as addictive in the same way as alcohol, in the same way as nicotine, cocaine, amphetamines, heroin, shopping, gambling, social media, and internet pornography. It's the same center in your brain that is stimulated.
Yeah.
When I read that, it's like, what?
Wow.
What? I had no idea. So yes, back then it was a for real addiction. It wasn't just, oh, I just like to have sugar. Because I like to have sugar so much that I actually carried around jelly packets. I mean, like, Dell, seriously? Yep, got jelly packets with me all the time, in the car, in my purses. I don't care where it is. I got that because I want to have the right amount of sugar and I needed to hit my system instantly. So yeah, I got all of this. That's an addiction. That's not just, I kind of like sugar. I'm like, oh, okay, now you just took that one to a whole new level. So first thing, dial back on those processed sugars and processed foods. The next thing was the constant snacking that I was doing. It dealt with the intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting is just like a fancy way of stop snacking. In my case, I was snacking all day. I mean, it was just like all day. It was just one long, I'm eating all the time. I ate literally every hour to hour and a half. And usually it was probably closer to maybe an hour, probably less than an hour, really. I was putting something in my mouth. I wasn't eating because I was hungry. I mean, because I didn't let myself get hungry. I wasn't eating for any really intelligent reason. I was eating because, let's see, I'm bored. I mean, back then I used to get bored. We don't do that now, but back then, I was bored. So I'm going to eat. I ate because, I'm sleepy or I'm tired and I'm trying to stay up because I got to do whatever. So I'm going to eat. I'm in an uncomfortable situation. So yeah, I'm going to eat. Maybe I'm at a networking meeting or something and I don't really like you. So I'm going to go over here and eat. I mean, it would just be this kind of craziness all the time. Every time I walk through the kitchen, I'm putting something in my mouth. Just all day long. And God began to deal with me about all of this snacking. Like, stop it. And so he blessed me. And I said, okay, God, no snacking. All right. So I'm going to eat breakfast. I'm going to have my lunch. I'm going to have my dinner. Now, mind you, I didn't really decrease the amount of food that I ate. Eventually I did. Because I'm thinking, if I can only have breakfast, lunch, and dinner and not my 15 snacks in between, I better take all of my snacks and pile them on one plate along with the platter of food that I'm going to eat. But you know what? I still lost weight.
Wow.
I lost it because I wasn't snacking. Now, I'm not advising you to, pile all this food on your plate. Don't do that. But weirdly enough, I still lost weight. And then when I stopped putting, a mountain of food on the plate, I'm like, okay, then I really started losing it. But when I cut back on that sugar, weight was just flying off my body. I mean, oh my goodness. So the sugar, the processed food, getting rid of the, all of that snacking in between, like all day long. And I know that there are some situations, like maybe if you are already diabetic or just some other situation in which the doctor has advised that you eat like small meals throughout the day. I'm certain that they're not saying less than an hour, or every hour on an hour. Come on, pack some food in your mouth. No, I don't think so. So if you have those scheduled snacks that you're supposed to do, that's one thing. But just eating constantly the way I was, stop snacking. That's a no. And the third thing that he shared with me had to do with the purposeful movement. And okay, this is my sumo wrestler story. For whatever reason, I was watching a documentary on sumo wrestlers, which in my mind is like, yeah, that's pretty high on the boring list of things to do, but I'm sitting there watching the thing. And they were talking about, well, what is it that allows sumo wrestlers to be able to gain all this weight and then keep the weight and then, gain some more if they need to. And, everybody was thinking, well, of course it's because they eat a whole lot of food, or they eat a lot of, high fat, high calorie foods all the time. And the commentator was saying, well, they do kind of, but that's not really what's going on, because they have a rigorous exercise routine, and they would burn off all of that food. So what happens afterwards? Now, hold on to your seats. What happens afterwards, after they eat? That's what's packing on the weight. They take a nap. I mean, remember back when we used to have those big Sunday dinners and we had all the friends and family over and we're just eating, 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 eating. And then what happens afterwards? We take a nap. Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
Whether we plan to or, voluntary or involuntary, we're going to doze off.
Right.
And when we're doing that, those calories, they're just sitting there. And so we're just going to be gaining weight, gaining weight, gaining weight. It happens the same as when we are in an office situation. If you started out, maybe you were working in the warehouse or something and you're packing boxes and you're really physical with what you do all day. And then you get that promotion, you're all excited about promotion, and now you're working in the office. Yeah. And you're eating your lunch at your desk. So how many calories are you burning? Yeah. Not many, if any at all. Okay. You're not going to get this gorgeous sculpted body from typing. Okay. It's just not going to happen. Right. It'll take a little more effort than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, we just fall into these patterns of, basically eating and sleeping. Don't do it. That's a recipe for gaining weight. And then we wonder, how come after I gain, I got this big job promotion, now I'm gaining weight? That's why, eating at your desk. So my solution has been for that is to have some purposeful movement. And that doesn't mean that after you eat, you have to jump up and run a marathon. Like, no, doesn't need to be anything that deep. Mm-hmm. A few minutes of just moving. Mm-hmm. So whether it's just kind of marching in place or just kind of walking around a little bit, just something, just get up and move, do something. Even when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm marching in place. I guess I kind of have that little kinesthetic thing going on. I have to move all the time anyway. But I encourage you that after you eat, get up and move. Do something. If you're in the office, get up and walk around that office building or just move, do something. So those are really the three things that I learned concerning the weight loss. And once I lost the weight, that was when I really started thinking about, I think I kind of like this healthy journey, because in each one of those things that I did, more weight just started flying off. Like, oh my goodness, like this is unbelievable. And it had nothing to do with shakes and powders and pills and teas and bars and trying to exercise 6 hours a day. It didn't have anything to do with any of that. Because when you're thinking about those kinds of things, it's almost as though you're setting yourself up for failure. Because realistically speaking, are you really going to exercise that much every day? I don't think so. And if you're dependent on a particular type of diet that you have to purchase from somebody else, well, what happens if that company goes out of business? Now, what's your plan? Right. What happens if they stop selling it? Now what? And I've heard that so many times. Well, I gained the weight back because, da person, she doesn't sell it anymore. Like, mm-hmm. You need to have a plan that you can get from the grocery store, any grocery store. Oh, wow. Eat what God made. That's the biggest thing right there. Biggest thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. And the scripture that you were talking about was 1 Timothy 4:4.
I bet it was. Yeah. I think so.
I just wanted to say so people can kind of reference it. So thank you for sharing that. That is so amazing. It's not, God is not complicated. It's just the simple, profound things. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful that you were keen enough to hear set and be sensitive
Yeah.
to hear it. I'm sure there are many times that God tries to speak to us, or he's saying something, but we're not listening, or we're not, or we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty
Mm.
of that for sure. So I heard you say, "Eat what God made." Well,
Mm-hmm.
the first one was "Eat what God made" from
Yeah,
first.
absolutely. Eat what God made. And
When you
then
share,
mhm.
go ahead. The second
Yeah,
one.
okay. And the second one is just stop snacking. Just quit it. You
Right.
don't have to eat 24 and 7.
Absolutely. And then the third
Yeah,
one, purposeful movement.
purposeful movement. Yeah.
When you mentioned First Timothy 4:4, because I've heard you share this, I I was like, whoa, that is some revelation. And I've read, like, I
Mm.
literally have read through Timothy, right? I saw it, I
Mhm.
highlighted it, but when you shared it, I was like, whoa, that
Mhm.
makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense. So, for people hearing this, it's specific, it's
Mhm.
strategic, it's just following everything about God. There's a strategy. That
Yeah.
there's always a set of instructions. There's always a set of
Mhm.
directions. He told the children of Israel, if you follow the instructions, you will
Mm.
not be plagued with the disease
Yes.
that came upon the Egyptians.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There are
Mhm.
instructions. If we follow
Yeah.
the directions that he has set for our lives, then
Mhm.
we don't have to be plagued with diseases.
There you go. Yeah.
So all of these things that you said, it has one thing in common:
Mhm.
choice.
Oh, yes.
Choice, habits.
Mhm.
I hear habits, right?
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
replacing the bad habits, that bad habit of constant snacking, the bad habit of
Mhm.
stress eating, or
Mhm.
using food to cope. And I have been guilty,
Mm.
you
Yeah.
know, using food, running to food instead of running to the source,
Mm. Mm.
instead of running
Yes.
to God, instead of running to
Yes.
the Holy Spirit. I have been
Mhm.
so guilty of that, right?
Mm.
And so I just love that. So eating what God made, and you are so right.
Yes.
He did not make that fried chicken. He did not
Mm-mm.
make
Nope.
no macaroni and cheese. He didn't even make
Mm.
cheese.
Okay, he made the cow.
He made
Okay, but
cow. He
but
made
all that other
cow.
stuff we have going on,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a no.
And it's so interesting because almost everybody who is in this field has an idea of what you should be eating or what
Mhm.
I should be eating, right?
Mhm.
But you're not telling people in these three concepts, you're
Mhm.
not telling people what to eat
No.
specifically. You're not saying what to
Mm-mm.
not eat specifically.
Right.
You're
Mhm.
giving them a formula that God gave you.
Right. There
Eat
you
what
go.
God made.
Yeah.
So that means if I am craving this thing, I am
Mhm.
responsible for me to take a step back and say, did God make this?
There you
is
go.
this is this is this processed food? Is this gonna
Mhm.
benefit me? Is this gonna
Yeah.
add to my body, or is it gonna take away from my body? And
Mm.
one of the things that we don't do, and many people don't do, is to take time to just take a moment to stop
Mm.
and think, you
Yeah.
know, instead of just putting it in our mouths because it feels good,
Mm.
it looks good, or it tastes good, or it smells good.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is powerful. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
doing. There are times that I find myself just dancing around the house,
There you
purposeful
go.
movement. Because
Mhm.
I'm gonna be doing some more of that, and I'm so glad. I love how you break this down. So eat what God made. Stop snacking. Now, for
Mhm.
some people, what are your thoughts about, for people who try to maintain a plant-based diet?
Mhm.
The snacking is going to be nuts and fruit and vegetables, or what are your thoughts on replacing the unhealthy snacks with
Mhm.
fruit or
Mhm.
vegetables or nuts? What are your thoughts about that?
I think you can do that. Now, mind you, I'm not talking really from a for real medical standpoint because I don't
Yeah.
have any medical degrees, I mean, at all. So
Yes.
this is not medical advice.
Right.
But in my humble opinion, I
Yes.
think that it would be okay to replace that
Mhm.
with the healthy snacks. scheduled intervals. What I'm really talking about I'm talking about the snacking. In my case, I was just eating like less than every hour. Every 45 minutes or so, I'm shoving something in my mouth. That's not good. It doesn't matter what you're eating. That's not good. Even if all I'm eating is celery, like, do you need to eat that often? I don't think so. But if you want to have a mid-morning snack between your breakfast and your lunch, okay, but make it a healthy snack, not 5 snacks between breakfast and lunch, which is
Right.
what I would have done.
Yeah. But you know what
Yeah.
though, Ms. Dell? A lot of, whether it's nutritional science or medical
Uh-huh.
science or different bodies, said bodies,
Uh-huh.
give suggestions. Eat 3 meals a day, eat 5 meals a day. We don't
Mhm.
even need that much food.
We really
We
don't.
really don't. And
No.
I am I practice intermittent fasting. That's
Mhm.
part I've become that's part is part of my lifestyle now. And I've noticed like I could eat one meal.
Mhm.
I've been telling myself, you don't need anything else. Just drink some water
Mhm.
and and close your window. Like you're good. Like just close your window. I mean, you're fine,
Okay.
you know? And sometimes we have cravings, and because we're so used to stuffing, right? We thrive,
Mm.
I'm saying we as a
Mhm.
people thrive out of satisfaction. You hear the message,
Yes.
do what feels good, eat what feels good, focus on what feels
Mm.
good. And I it has a negative connotation, right? Because if
Mhm.
I do what feels good, I'm going to eat all the time because eating
Okay. Yep.
makes me feel good. Or,
There you go.
unless I'm eating something that just makes me feel, I don't like how that made me feel, right? So
Mhm.
I hear the positive, I understand what it means.
Mhm.
Um, but honestly, if we take a moment to just kind of step back for a second and wait
Mhm.
5 minutes, we'll notice that we're really dehydrated instead of hungry.
Okay, you just took the words right out my mouth. Yes. Yes.
Need some water.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let me put my 25 cents in there.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, so many times
Mhm.
when we think we want some food, yes, we are thirsty. That's the issue. We're thirsty. Because when we think about being thirsty, or a number of things that give us an unpleasant feeling. Because when you're thirsty, you're not thinking, oh, I feel so wonderful because I'm thirsty. No, it's an unpleasant feeling. And there are a number of things that are unpleasant feelings. So we go and eat because food is pleasant. So, I don't like the way I'm feeling right now. Let me go get something to eat.
Mhm.
No. And
Mhm.
then that food doesn't satisfy you because your body's saying, yeah, thanks for that. But what I really wanted was some liquid.
Right.
And we keep packing in more food. But what we really wanted was the liquid.
Yeah.
And in what you said, we need water,
Yeah.
just water. The food industry, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, like that's probably a whole different broadcast.
It's a whole.
But what I'm finding is that now the research is showing that they're putting more salt
Mm.
in the sugary beverages. So
Mhm.
that means that you will drink it and you will want more. It's not going to satisfy you. So now you'll drink some more liquid sugar, but you're not satisfied. It's like being in an ocean with salt water. Well, you can't drink it because it's just going to make you more thirsty, and that soda is just making you more thirsty and more and more and more. So yeah, could you supersize my soda, please? I want the big gully washer. Like, who drinks an 8-ounce glass of anything anymore? Like, do they sell 8 ounces or anything?
Yeah.
It starts like 16 ounce, the 24 ounce, like, because they want you to keep drinking it. I mean, they're making money. And I
Mhm.
think the pharmaceutical folks are connected to it, but okay, I'm not even going to try to go down that rabbit hole. Like,
They are.
leave that alone with them.
They are.
But so often when we're feeling something uncomfortable, we want to satisfy it with food
Yeah.
because it stimulates that pleasure center.
Right.
So yeah.
And some of that is tied to, you know, unfortunately, some of that is tied to unhealthy core beliefs. You know,
Mm-hmm,
if you know, for some cultures, I'm sure, I don't know if it's yours too, but for some cultures, you were told eat all your food, eat all your
mm,
food, right? Now, for
mm-hmm,
some
yeah.
family dynamics, you were criticized for gaining weight, but then at the
Mm,
table, eat all your food. So very, very
yeah.
confusing, right?
Mm-hmm,
Or some cultures, maybe because of food neglect or poverty, um,
mm-hmm,
it's tied to, or you learn that food is a comfort. However,
mm-hmm,
once you become aware of that, either through counseling or therapy or through the Holy
mm-hmm,
Spirit, it is ultimately our responsibility. Awareness makes us responsible, right? So once
mm-hmm,
I'm
mm-hmm.
aware of that, what am I going to do about it? Right?
Yeah.
Can't blame my childhood
There you
for
go.
my current decisions.
Mm-hmm,
I can't change what happened, but I can
yeah.
choose to respond differently for sure.
Mm-hmm,
So, what would you say to the person, Ms. Dale? You know, there are people listening. A lot of people struggle with weight. A lot
mm-hmm,
of people struggle with health. If they're not struggling with weight, they're struggling with some type of health issue. If they're
mm-hmm,
not currently struggling with it, somebody will struggle with it, right? So,
mm,
the person who's listening to you, who's struggling with the roller coaster, you know, they start doing well, they stop. They start a
mm,
program, they stop.
mm,
they
mm-hmm,
they tell themselves I'm going to do this, and then there's no follow through, or maybe there's
yeah.
binging behaviors, or and it's just a constant process, and they're really, really struggling.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say? What would you say to this person?
Fight for what you want.
Yeah, that's good.
How badly do you want your health?
Yeah.
You have to fight for it. It's not going to just come naturally. I mean, some people say, "Oh, I just have good genes." Like, yeah, maybe you do at the moment, but you have to fight for it. You have to, and I just can't say that enough. Don't lay down and just roll over and say, "Okay, well, I guess this is going to be my lot in life." No, it doesn't have to be. And I think about, now, because we're talking about Valentine's Day and whatnot. So how about instead of giving yourself or having someone else give you this big box of chocolates? Yeah. Okay. So what are these chocolates going to do for you? I mean, they might make you smile, but because of all that sugar, you need to smile quickly because that sugar is going to rot your teeth out. So, yeah, you need to kind of think about that.
Right.
But how about do something different? Do something that really says, I love my body. Maybe take a walk, spend some time in the word, spend some time just quiet and meditating, but fight for what you want. So, I mean, that would be the biggest thing. Just you got to fight for it. How badly do you want it?
Yeah.
And the other thing would be don't set yourself up for failure. Be realistic in whatever it is you're going to do. I'm very much against, the fad diets and the gimmicks and, all of this other stuff. Like, come on now, because there's so many side effects in there. Like, don't do it. But
Mhm.
just so don't set yourself up for failure.
That's
Be
good.
realistic in what you're going to do so that you can be consistent, but you've got to fight for it. I mean, I can't say it enough. You've got to fight for what you want.
That's so true. And I just thought about the other person who's listening to you, and they're feeling like, okay, I eliminated the sugar.
Mm-hmm,
I have made some changes. I'm doing intermittent fasting.
mm-hmm,
I'm exercising. I have a lot of weight to lose, but
mm-hmm,
it just seems like I'm not seeing the results that I want to see. What
mm-hmm.
would you say to that person?
Don't give up.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
absolutely do not give up. So if you have all of those things going, you may need to kind of beef it up a little bit, maybe. Okay, I shouldn't have said beef it up because I'm not talking about the food, but you may need to be a little more aggressive in your approach. And it could be that there's something else that's going on because, I don't have, that medical expertise. So yeah, definitely check in with your doctor because if you're doing all of that and you're still not losing the weight, there's probably something else going on.
Mm. How long did it take you to lose the 80 pounds? Was that in a year? I meant to ask you that earlier.
I'm thinking it might have been about a year and a half, something like that, because it was done in stages. And because I had never thought about this whole Dine Well program, so I didn't journal like, okay, I lost this much pounds, this week. I mean, I never tracked it, but I know the biggest weight loss that I had was when I gave up that sugar, let go of the sugar, the cakes, the pies, all of this other stuff. Like we just don't do that anymore. And when I got rid of that and the processed food, the bulk of the weight disappeared at that point. I mean, it just started flying off the body. Like, oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when I went to the next part, and it kind of leveled off. And then probably a few months went by, and then I went to the next part and more weight, and then that leveled off. And then I, started the purposeful movement, and then more weight, and then it just leveled off. So I'm kind of like, okay, God, we don't need anything else,
right?
Because I'll disappear.
Right. So talk about, this is I love how you make this so practical. I mean, it's 3 steps.
Yeah.
Yes, it's weight loss or whatever people's challenge is. Yet it may seem hard, but I think that's the language is not it's not healthy to say that it's hard, right? Because when it concerns your health, yes, it may feel hard, but it's necessary.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I wonder if people can replace hard with it's necessary,
Okay. Necessary works.
necessary. But I mean, it is it's a process for sure. So really quickly, how do you help people today? Talk about the program that you have. What people need to know about the services that you offer when it comes to helping them live a healthy lifestyle.
Yes. Okay. Well, the program that I have, it's called Dine Well. And it's a program in which I have the privilege to be able to share my testimony. And I go through all of the steps, and I go into a little more detail about the things that I did, and the time frames, and all of that. But it also talks about having that healthier, not just your healthier body, but a healthier mind. So the things that you're thinking, because even when you're, whatever you're thinking about, you need to dine well on the right things. So I go into a little more information about having that healthier mind and having a healthy your spirit life as well. So your spiritual development. So it talks about all of that. And it's a 2-part program. So the first part is dealing with having that healthier body, mind, and spirit. And then the second part is a very unique type of vision board in which you're going to be going through and doing it in segments. So rather than just putting things, kind of randomly on a page, it would be very specific as to how you're doing that, and having ways that you're going to be able to follow up, and all of that. So that's the 2-part program. And that program, the next one that I have coming up, is actually going to be March 26th. It is going to be virtual. So wherever you are, if you have an internet connection, we can rock and roll. It's a great program. You'll love it. You'll love it.
What time?
And I'm not saying that because, oh, I'm so wonderful. And I'm not saying it that way, but just because it's the hand of God is all over this program. It really is. Yeah.
What time is the program?
Okay. It will start at 11:30.
11:30 CST, Central Standard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and I'll get your information and put it in the show notes. So people need to expect to come and just
Mhm.
hear more about the program and the concepts,
Yeah.
and also just dive in deeper for their
Mhm.
specific journey. And also, how can people get in touch with you? How can they connect with you? Is there a link that you wish to share?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the website link, the main website link would be speakthroughme.com. And through is spelled all the way out. That's THROUGH. So that's speakthroughme.com. Now you can sign up for Dine Well on the website. The deadline for the registration is actually March 5th, because we will mail out all of the materials. So everything that you need to be able to participate, we're going to ship it to you. So we need to have that finished by March 5th. And the actual workshop is going to be on the 26th.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wow, Ms. Dell, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, those concepts. I am so glad that that the Lord gave you that. That's
Mm,
brilliant. That is Holy Spirit.
yes.
I just love to have
Yes.
the
My
Lord
God.
orchestrated the entire journey for you. Um,
Yes.
Eat what God made, stop
Mm-hmm.
slacking, and purpose movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
E- ESP. God gave you some ESP. Isn't that awesome?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I love it. ESP. I love it. He gave you the intel that will shift, that has changed and will continue to change a lot of lives for sure.
Mm,
And as
yeah.
they participate, because obviously they have to want to. Before we
Mhm.
end, is there any final thing that you want to share that I didn't get to ask you?
Okay. Well, actually, it's just two things, because I failed to mention that when I was talking about being borderline everything, well, no, my numbers are now perfect. They're exactly where they need to be.
Wow.
Everything is fine. And I am in my 60s. So, yeah, it is not even an age thing. Everything is fine now. It was real special before, but it's fine now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do want to close with, regardless of whether you eat it, think it, or believe it, be certain that you are taking in the things that God made. Be certain you are dining well on whatever it is you're doing.
Awesome. I love that. Well, I want to share with y'all that Ms. Dell will be back. She's going to come back to talk about telling your story. She's very anointed. She's anointed and talented when
Um,
it comes to, publishing and helping you to tell your stories. I'm not going to say any much more about that because we will have another episode where she will be back.
yeah.
But I thank you for listening, for taking time to plug into this episode number 104. And I know that there's
Yes.
something in this episode that was really, really a blessing for you and just really added value to
Mm,
your life. Here's the thing: if you are healthy and you have no challenges, share this with somebody. Share this
mhm,
episode with somebody, another person. Every one of us knows somebody who's struggling with some type of medical concern or struggling with health or struggling with trying to stay healthy, trying to follow through. Many people do resolutions and have fallen off. And it's January. By the time we're recording, it's January 28th. By the time you hear this, it will be February. However, some people have fallen off their resolutions. Okay. So,
yeah.
and this is a real problem. So please share this with somebody that you know. Post it on your social media, give it to somebody, just share it with anybody that can benefit from it. If you have any questions, feel free to connect with me. And I'm also going to put the information to connect with Ms. Dell on the show notes. I thank you so much for tuning in to the episode, and I will be back next time with an amazing episode. Have a great week on purpose.